What is up, everybody? Welcome. Happy Saturday morning. Welcome, everybody, to Hobby Hotline, the hobby's only live call in show. This is episode 239. Wow, that's a lot. But welcome, everybody, in today. Everybody watching on Bench Clear Media and everywhere else. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name, of course, is Drew, or the DH. Joining me today, we've got the man himself, the rookie card man, Victor. How's it going, dude?
Good morning. Howdy, howdy.
Doing good, doing good. And then we also have the man himself, King NASCAR, Mr. Logan. What's up, dude?
Oh, not much, man. Just hanging out with you guys and enjoying a nice weekend.
I hear you. Morning, Mad City Brew. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in once again. If you'd like to call in and join the show, of course, this is the show that you guys control for the most part. Anything that you guys would like to talk about, if you'd like to give your comments on something that we are discussing, anything along those lines, please feel free to click that beautiful link. You can come on as video or audio, your choice, but we would love to have you guys call in, join the show today. Morning U.S. sports cards from Syracuse, Madison, Wisconsin, all over the globe. Morning, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great day. It's a really nice day here, too. I don't know how it is over your guys' way, but we actually have some nice weather for once.
It was started. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you're lucky. Here in Memphis, it's typical Memphis summer weather.
Yeah.
It's you're like in the high 90s and like the humidity's like in the 90s. So fun times.
We had beautiful sunshine this morning with the birds singing, and then half hour later, a rainstorm. So,
yeah, unfortunately, I have to leave this nice weather in North Carolina. I got to go down to Florida tomorrow to do some work for Gem Mint. But guys, let's dive right into it. I would say it was a slow week in the hobby, but there isn't a slow week in the hobby. Last weekend on last week's show, I know everyone talked a lot about the Panini lawsuit that they'd filed against Fanatics. Well, after that show was over and after the weekend was over, once Monday rolled around, Fanatics decided to say, hey, we'll dive in on this too. And dive in they did. We'll just start off with a blanket question here. What do you guys think about this countersuit filed by Fanatics? Because it is, they went in deep.
Yeah,
I think, man, we keep doing that, man.
I know all day.
Seniority, you're older, so go ahead.
Oh, thanks a lot.
There you go.
I mean, I didn't really read it, but from the things that I've heard online, a lot of it is, just them complaining mostly about Panini and making complaints and not necessarily anything that's based on actual fact. That's what I've heard. I may be wrong about that, but that's the sentiment that I've gotten online.
Can I go now?
Go.
The floor is yours, Victor.
I love you, Logan. No, for me, yeah, it was pretty cool. I thought it was fight fire with fire.
It is.
But a couple of things really stood out to me that make me kind of scratch my head, and that is the first of all, it was a 100-page document, and it seems like that 100-page document didn't get written overnight. It seems like Fanatics had this document ready to go whenever needed.
Well, I want you to keep going with that for just a second, but I will tell you that I can't name the employee, but an employee at Panini at the National did tell me that this lawsuit was coming. They said just the big news isn't going to be at the National. It'll be a couple of days later, and it'll involve the courts. So right away, I knew a lawsuit was coming. So I'm pretty sure Fanatics knew as well.
Yeah. But for Fanatics to turn around and counter just days later and give a 100-page document, I seem to think that document was being formulated way before the news came. They've been sitting on this waiting to blast in the event that something like this happened. And
Well, I think, the inside the document, it kind of tells you why they thought that. And that's because they already agreed to that injunction with Panini employees saying that, they wouldn't let them talk to other employees and help them do this and that. Like they had already made concessions to Panini when obviously Panini had been kind of hinting and fighting at this for a while, it looks like. Trying to find some of the quotes here right now. But yeah, I mean, they actually took on, where is it? Let's see here. Yeah. That Panini brought suits against all their at-will former employees without non-compete restrictions who took jobs at Fanatics, and it threatened to do the same to others. Fanatics consented to a contemporary injunction barring 7 former Panini employees from recruiting others away or using confidential information. So they definitely, they've been fighting this kind of in the background of the courts for a little while now. It looks like, and it looks like they all knew this. And, I wasn't on the show last week. I think Panini had to do this. They didn't really have a choice at this point in time. But one thing I do think, and I do agree with US Sports Cards, as these legal fees mount, if this stuff does keep going to court, if it makes it to discovery, which I want to touch on in a minute. But if it keeps going, they've got to make up those profits elsewhere, which absolutely could result in higher prices. I don't think we get higher prices, but it's possible. It definitely is possible. But Fanatics, man, they really went in on Panini. I mean, they called him a stagnant, longtime incumbent that has become complacent and failed to invest in market innovations, instead funneling profits to its owners in Italy. And that choice yielded a track record of dismal customer service, quality control issues, shoddy product offerings, vast numbers of outstanding redemption cards, and missed opportunities to grow revenues. I mean, they put in photos from articles that we had written a long time ago with the fake patches. They did everything.
Wow.
Like they attacked. If you go into this document, they really went after them. And the first thing I thought of when I read this whole thing and saw it was, there goes any chance of any negotiations. I think we can firmly assume that Panini and Fanatics negotiations are probably out the window unless Panini ends up selling off the card market side of their company for pennies on the dollar. But this is not going to be, there's no more negotiations, at least in my eyes.
But here's an analogy that I make about the situation. I look at it as Fanatics and Panini misbehaving like children misbehaving.
Oh yeah.
And if I look at the parents, which to me I consider the Players Association and the leagues, I believe they're the parents, and I just think it's the kids are out of order because the parents are out of order.
Yeah.
And when you look at what they've done, I didn't agree with the Players Association signing a 20-year deal in the middle of when there was 3 years left on the current one.
Yeah.
I believe, they did that kind of thing should have been like open to the market. Like who wants to be on a bidding war? What if Panini would have came in with a higher bid? Were they even given a chance to come in at a higher bid?
Well, right. They probably left some money on the table there. I would say.
It just seems it just seems corrupt.
They definitely left money on the table, Logan, 100%. And, I agree they should be on bids now. Unfortunately, with what, cards and everything and these entities are classified as, they're not required by law to be put up on bids like a lot of things would be. But, hey, I always look at it as, hey, Panini didn't buy these licenses. I mean, they didn't bid on these licenses when they got them. They bought out Donruss Playoff, and, those licenses came with it. So, I did find it funny, them fighting that when, they never bid on it themselves. But I do agree, bids should be, I think they should be put up on bids. But I'll also ask you guys this, because this is going to be if this stuff goes forward, which we'll touch on if we think that'll happen or not. But if this does go forward, exclusives are going to be heavily, heavily front and center on this. Do you guys think we could possibly see a change? And do we want to see a change where there aren't exclusives? Now, I'm not saying going back to the 90s where every company can print 50 products a year if they want to, but possibly these organizations saying, hey, okay, we're not going to do exclusives, but so-and-so company can produce this much a year? Do we see a change in exclusives?
Well, Coke needs Pepsi. So
Yep.
I think that, yes, I think that there should be multiple manufacturers of trading cards with particular licenses, no doubt. I'd like to see Topps. I think it'd be cool if Topps did NASCAR cards. I would not have any problem with that, but I think there would need to be some kind of limitations, like you're allowed to produce X number of products every year, and like you said, not flood the market like we had back in the late 80s, early 90s, where everybody had a license and everybody was just printing. The presses were running 24/7. No, we don't need that. So I think that, yeah, it'd be a good thing.
I don't know. To me, it's to finish my analogy. It's like an ugly divorce that ends up in the courts, right? The kids of that divorce end up getting the consequences. And I believe in the same vein, at the end of this, the collectors are going to be the ones that pay the consequences, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
I completely agree. And, Steel City, DW, it's funny you say that, because one of the things Fanatics criticized Panini for was lack of innovation in their countersuit. So competition does breed innovation. Maybe that's where that lack of innovation came from. You can kind of touch on what you think innovation is at any point in time. But guys, once again, please call in. Feel free. Call in, join the show. Let us know what you think about all of it, or if you have any questions or anything in the hobby you'd like to discuss. But okay, so Fanatics, they did their countersuit, all this stuff. I think we can all agree it's probably going to be pretty quiet from now on. The lawsuits are out. Normally, that's when everyone has to shut up. Can't start running their mouths and doing this kind of stuff. But I think it gets quiet. But the thing that's interesting is if one of these can make it to discovery, because in that loss, biggest thing we've glossed over, and really something that I hope to get, I don't hope they can prove, but if you're going to make this allegation in a legal countersuit, you better be able to prove it. They're saying that Panini inflated their profits by $200 million a year. So they're basically accusing them of cooking the books. Well, if we hit discovery, all those books and everything get opened. That's a pretty heavy allegation to be made, even if it's only 50 million. You're talking about on 4 or 5 years now, you're looking at over 200 million. If it's $200 million a year, that's crazy. I think discovery is where we want to get with this, to see if there was corruption or not.
Yeah, and I don't think I think this lawsuit is going to be just as important as the one when Fleer sued Topps back. That one started in 1975, and judgment wasn't passed until 1980. So that one was deliberated in the courts for 5 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we're going to get to something quick here. So it's going to be real interesting how things unfold. I hope it's settled quickly, but that's typically not the case in these situations.
No, and the courts are moving even slower these days. So I'm with you guys. I don't expect to see any kind of judgment or any kind of, like you said, discovery or anything happening anytime in the near future.
No, and Collector's Dream does make a good point on exclusives. They do have those rights hammered down, so licenses will not be changing, at least the ones that just re-upped for a long time. And yeah, we're kind of talking long term here, as this court case could have ramifications on licensing if they wanted. D. Pyres has a question here. Been wondering how Panini had these licenses and did not have the ability to match bids written into the contracts. Seems like an error by them. Well, I want to know what you guys think about this, but honestly, it goes back to what I said earlier. They bought these from Donruss Playoff. They inherited these licenses when they bought the intellectual property and they bought the company. That's how they got these licenses, and then they turned into, basically exclusives. So it's definitely an error on their part to not make it to where, because they could have written into the contract that it had to be up for bids. They could have done stuff like that. but they didn't. And so I think they took the regular old contracts they had before, figured that they could make a good enough product that they wouldn't want to leave, and they were wrong. At least when Michael Rubin comes in with a lot of money and a game plan that sounds like heaven if you're a card company.
Yeah.
So that's personally, but what do you guys think? Error by Panini not to make it to where the licenses have to be up for bids?
Yeah, definitely. And shame on the Players Association in my opinion.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, I completely agree with the Players Association part.
That's the biggest issue. Why wouldn't there be language in there? Now we're having Fanatics sign exclusive deals with NBA players when Panini still holds the license, and there's no where's the Players Association at here? They're just head in the sand in the corner counting their money is what they're doing. When that type of stuff should have all been spelled out from the get-go.
No, I completely agree with you. I think the Players Association, like you said, they're all about the money. It's all they care about. Fanatics came in with a deal that promised them more money, basically doing what they just, had to do anyway. So, a lot of blame does need to be placed on the Players Association and the leagues for this. They all were involved in all of this. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see. But Fanatics did file a countersuit on Panini, so we'll see what happens in the court system. Steel City says, sounds like a monopoly to me, Victor.
It is.
Yep, and, some Tim Wong, would Topps Anniversary be better if they had the original 53 cards inserted in set chromed?
That's another one.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's kind of upsetting me this week, to be honest with you, is we're still releasing 2022 product.
I know.
Middle of August of 2023. It's like, come on.
There's got to be. I mean, I know you can only catch up so much, but you've got to take a hit. Find that draft. They've got to find that draft class where they're like, okay, honestly, this draft class is not up to par. We're not going to have a god in this draft class that everyone's going to chase after. Use that year, cut some products, and catch up. Upper Deck's the worst. They're putting shit out from like 3 years ago still. Yeah. And their updates that they're having to put into other products, which I love that they do instead of redemptions. I mean, you don't need, you get a product that you don't think, like SP Authentic, and it's got cards in it from the last 15 years. I mean, they've fallen so far behind. It's absolutely insane. What's that, Logan?
I was just going to say, as far as the manufacturers are concerned, I think what they need to try to do is at least keep their flagships contiguous, 22, 23 and all that. But, some of these more specialty brands, just suck it up and just cut your losses and just say, okay, we didn't catch up in 2023. Let's just name this product 2024 and let's just move on and catch up with what we need to do.
Yeah, so we've got, I completely agree. We've got a couple questions in the chat and a couple comments. We're going to go here in order real quick. Some Tim Wong asks, could Panini pretend to release 2022 and use active players since Topps is? Yeah, they probably could. They could probably get away with that, but I doubt they want any more legal problems. They're already, spending enough on legal fees, and I think that would probably cost them a little bit more. But yeah, they might be able to. But hey, I think Donruss is an awesome product this year, and all I see are Hall of Famers and prospects. But what's that?
I see a big disaster coming for the rookies of upcoming product with just Rex mentioned it, and it's going to be especially your rookie autograph cards. It's just going to be a cluster. I don't know.
No, it's going to be insane. And this was a massive. All right, it all goes back to all this stuff started, and all this mess really started with Ben Simmons. When Ben Simmons signed his exclusive, and he was the first person since the hobby really blew up that everyone was chasing. When Ben Simmons came out, I don't know if you guys remember, he was the hottest thing in the world. It was almost Wemby level type of hype. And then you found out he was not going to have any rookie autos, any licensed rookie autos. So people had to figure out a card to chase of his. They had to find that quote unquote big rookie. That's how the Silver Prism became what it is. They landed on the Silver Prism. All of a sudden, Silver Prisms years later, you see what happens. This year, though, I mean, you don't do that anymore. This is known now. And now, like Rex says, you're going to have, and you will have, we've been talking about this on our show. Let me get that potograph for weeks when people said, no, they are going to be in it because they're in Chronicles. No, these were stickers and leftover autographs that they had from previous stuff before the exclusives were signed. But Stroud, Young, Levis absolutely are not going to be in pro uniform products with autographs. And Wemby, I've already been told, has also signed. So yeah, you're not going to have any of those licensed rookies.
Yeah.
And when it comes to those players, and Victor, I know you, especially with rookies, I mean, how big of an impact do you think that's going to have on their market? Because obviously these are, I mean, you can argue the quarterbacks, but Wemby, if he becomes who he's supposed to become, what kind of effect do you think that has not having a real licensed rookie?
Yeah, that's going to be a big issue, especially to the traditionalist collectors that like that kind of thing. But I think this is an issue right here. This topic, since they've went ahead and peeled the scab and took it to the courts, I think this is a topic that should be dealt with in the courts. Since they opened up that door, let's go ahead and deal with this issue for the future, and let's try to bring some lines of clarity here.
Yeah,
legally, anyways.
No, I completely agree with you, especially when it comes to, and you see Panini now, ever since these exclusives have started happening, you've been seeing Panini snag up every single person they can with NIL deals, trying to get them into the Panini family early. I mean, I think they snagged like 8 or 9 high school basketball players, just so if they become huge, they can't sign an exclusive elsewhere. They're trying everything they can to snag these guys up. But like Rex says, the biggest impact is on the big stuff, the Flawless, Immaculate, Noir, Spectra, the RPAs. Those are, like I said, like I was talking about with Ben Simmons. He didn't have any of that stuff because he signed that exclusive. Once again, we can blame Ben Simmons for a lot of things in life. We can blame him for this problem. He kind of led the way on this trend, but I think with Wemby's case, I think you're going to see the Prism stuff, his silvers, things like that, hold a lot more value than usual. And when it comes to the quarterbacks, it's going to be the same type of thing. I think Optic, I think Prism, I think things like that are going to hold a lot of value. And then just I guess you could say the logo men or the shields and stuff like that from National Treasures, but they're not game used. So, none of them are game used. So does it really matter? I think it has a massive effect on the football market. Basketball, I think they just move over like Ben Simmons, do the Silver Prism, and okay, that's going to be his big thing. Football, going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I guess this opens up the question too. What is going to be the popularity of unlicensed product then in the years to come, especially with NT and Flawless and that? It's probably going to be unlicensed, so it's going to be, no logos, that kind of thing. And I know I heard Brian Gray in an interview this past week making his case once again for why logos aren't important. But I think time and time again, the hobby, I don't know if it's the majority or the minority, but it seems like the licensed product is more desirable. I know that's a tough one to deal with, man.
Yeah, no, I like licensed products just because I want to see the logos of the teams. I just like all of that. I think that when you you airbrush out, or what I say airbrush, that shows you how old I am. When you Photoshop out some of this stuff, it just doesn't look as good. It just doesn't have the eye appeal to me. And again, it's just unlicensed. So, I mean, I just don't know why I would want to buy a bunch of unlicensed products.
Well, see,
and I think there's a market for unlicensed. I believe there's a lot of people who like it, right? But my question is, it comes down to each individual preference, right? Mm-hmm. I like unlicensed, but which one do I prefer most? I prefer the licensed stuff, to be honest with you.
Well, I just go back to stuff like this, and I'm just going to hold up 2 cards as an example. Okay, so this is an Xavier Isaac first Bowman green. Okay, mm-hmm. On that card, that is a licensed card. The only thing you can see is half of the B in Tampa Bay on his helmet. That's it. Yeah. That's the only thing you can see.
Right.
On the entire jersey, it's a licensed card. You can go back old school. O.J. Simpson. There's no logo. There's no nothing. It says Buffalo instead of, it says Bills, where in other cases it would say Buffalo. So, like, I understand the licensing aspect of it, but if you really take a look at so many cards, there's so little that's done with this Photoshop and this stuff. I mean, the biggest thing I think would be Yankee pinstripes. I don't know if people know that, but Panini can't use the Yankee pinstripes. But, you know, that to me, it's always been, I understand it because it's quote unquote unlicensed, but I look at half of these photos of cards we're going to talk about later, and you don't even see a third of the logo in any of them.
Yeah, but my argument in that deal is, like, some of the key cards, like Walter Payton you can't see any sign of the Bears either. But it's one of them things where only a few cards in the set has it, as opposed to the entire set.
No, I agree.
You know,
I agree.
Yeah,
I do agree. Rex has a great question here, and that regards Arch Manning. If everyone saw his first card, which all went to charity, his Throw Black auto, which has been made now. It's actually a really nice looking card. He did a good job signing it too. Sold for over $100,000. But now, will he have any cards in Bowman U? If he has an NIL deal with Panini, can Topps even use his photo? And from my understanding, unless they sign, if they have an NIL deal outside of everything, I do not think they can use his card. I do not think they can even have him as a first, like, non-autoed, from my understanding. I don't know NIL as opposed to Players Association, things like that. But I believe the name, image, and likeness, unless he signs a separate one, I believe that does count him out. I mean, he definitely won't have autographs. But I don't think he'll have any cards in Bowman U.
Interesting.
I haven't heard anything about the NIL trumping all the other licenses. I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. My guess is that he probably wouldn't have signed it if he couldn't be in Bowman U and get some residuals off of that. So my guess is that he'll probably have some way to be into that. And I'm sure if the Manning family wants him to be in those products, he'll be in them. But you won't get autographs because the NIL. But that's a very good question, Rex. And I don't know the answer to how that NIL trumps the college license and stuff like that Topps has with Bowman U and stuff like that.
I think he will be in Bowman U because of Topps holds the collegiate license, right?
Yes, yeah, I would agree there. I don't think, but I don't know if it'll be like Steel City said, action shots, stuff like that. It may be a helmet off, like, type of portrait type of photo. I don't know how much they're going to be using the logos. I don't know how that works, actually. It's a very good question, Retch. And I'm very curious about it. Rex also says Fanatics also making moves, signing retired players to exclusives, and this is interesting, and dictating what they can and can't sign.
Wow.
Peyton, for example, I heard about this, and I was actually going to bring this up, Rex. Peyton is now a Fanatics exclusive and it cannot sign Panini cards. And I will tell you, this is a very big thing. The Undertaker when he retired and signed his Legends agreement, WWE put in a massive amount of stuff on the exact cards he can sign, the exact cards he can't. I think this is going to be a very, very big thing going forward. But what do you guys think about that?
Well, several years ago, I did the Bo Bikes Bama ride down in Auburn, Alabama. And of course, Bo Jackson was there. King Griffey Jr. was there. After the ride, I went up to Bo Jackson to get him to sign just my number from my jersey. He signed that. I got King Griffey Jr. to sign it. But then people came up with trading cards for him to sign, and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't sign any of those. It's due to my deal." So yeah,
I didn't know that with Peyton Manning. That's the first thing I'm hearing about.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It's very new. It's very new. But yes, they are signing up a lot of older players and a lot of the new Fanatics exclusives. A lot of the new stuff that you see, especially with retired players. Look at that language because they're putting it in there a lot. They're trying to do it very, very, very specific. They're trying to do the Jordan-esque deals, which, as we all talked about, LeBron possibly still not being an Upper Deck exclusive. He's still not on their exclusives page anymore. But 1 Million Cubs Project, my man, jumping in with some great information. Only way Arch can be in Bowman U is like I thought, if he signs a deal with Fanatics. Fanatics owns a school license, but they can only put in players signed to NIL. So Arch would have to sign a separate agreement with Fanatics as well, which he can do. He's exclusive in terms of autographs and things like that, but it is not an exclusive NIL license. He could theoretically license himself out for Bowman U, but I think you're going to see Arch Manning. Here we go again. They're going to take over the NFL license Topps here very soon. And now Arch Manning not going to have licensed stuff probably as well. So all these big guys are getting snagged up by the opposite companies. Like they're getting snagged up by all the people that don't have the license right now. And that's going to be really, really interesting in a couple of years to watch the market on their rookie cards, or when they finally get an actual licensed auto. Are those going to start to command insane money? How is all that going to play out? Because it's definitely going to change.
It's kind of like the vintage days where you had Mickey Mantle not being in like 54 Topps. Things like that. So I mean, because back then that's what they did. All the players signed individual contracts with Topps or Bowman or whoever, and of course they didn't get paid a lot of money. It's like, here's a catalog of things you could get out of the catalog, like a toaster or something. I mean, you didn't get a lot, but still, I mean, they did have exclusive deals back then.
Yeah. Yes, Rex, it will when he does go pro. I misspoke. I meant his Bowman stuff, like in terms of like licensed college stuff, his pre-rookie stuff, his first Bowmans, which I still think the first Bowmans, which here, I got a question for you, Victor, while we're on this topic. What do you think about Bowman U while we're talking about it right now, being a rookie card guy and being everything like that? With Fanatics getting all these licenses to, obviously football and basketball eventually, and now they're starting to put out cards with first Bowman on it, Wemby being a great example. Do you think that these hobbies are going to adopt the first Bowman like baseball has? Do you see that happening, or do you see this as people saying, okay, it's really just a glorified college card because there's not that minor league system? Even though the NBA is putting one in place, there's not that minor league system like baseball.
Yeah, I think it's going to, the cards will be popular and wanted and desired during the release, right? But then as soon as the pro stuff starts coming out, it seems like the Bowman First or the Bowman U, they start to fizzle out. When you look at values of this stuff, they take off, but when they come down and they stay there. So I don't know. That's how I view it. As technically speaking, you know, will the hobby evolve towards that? I mean, there's a section of the hobby that's already has, but you know, again, what's the silent minority? What's the silent majority? It's going to be, the hobby still prefers rookie cards that are fully licensed, that are, you know, that have all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And this collegiate stuff, they've been, you know, college basketball, that stuff's been around since the 90s, you know, and it really, go look at the values of that stuff in the 90s. And I mean, they made a ton of it, all kind of different, you know, collector's edge.
And Press Pass was my favorite with those die cut nets, the AI die cut net. I have like 100 of them.
But go look at the values and the desirability of those cards today. I mean, they're just not there. As soon as the pro cards come out, it trumps everything else.
Yeah, from a collectability standpoint, they are collectible, but like you say, there's no value in them. I mean, if you're just a true collector, that's fine. They're great. But if you're looking to try to trade those cards, maybe even sell those cards, you can't do that.
I agree to an extent. I think it's way different than baseball because the first Bowmans in baseball, they're at least in the uniforms of pro teams. You know, the first Bowmans aren't in college uniforms or something like that. They get them in a actual MLB uniform for Bowman and things like that. But as Steel City does say, you know, this is a growing market. The NIL market is a growing market, kind of like I look at it kind of like F1, WWE, all that stuff a couple of years ago. It's just now starting to build its way into the hobby. And I don't really know if we know what it's going to be yet. I could see some Bowmans, especially like the Wemby, with that in that green with the first auto I ever signed type of card. I think that type of stuff is going to hold some value. I think the NBA probably has the best chance of it actually working and becoming a thing, as within 10 years, the NBA is basically going to have a farm system. They're going to have like a lower A, a mid A type of deal like baseball. And so when they get there, I can easily see the NBA adopting it. But I do agree. I think the rookies are always going to trump in those sports. And just like they really do in baseball, you just have that big segment of Bowman diehards.
But I mean, like in the 90s, right? They would release that collegiate stuff like during the off season, like, you know, and then come October, they would release the pro stuff. But to me, it was that window of during the summer that a lot of this stuff was released, and it was popular. I mean, people dug it. But I mean, nowadays we release NBA product like year round.
Oh, I know.
All the sports, it's like year round. There's releases. So I don't know.
And I do agree with Rex right here. It is funny. The college memorabilia market is massive. Like even for a school like East Carolina, which is what I super collect and what like my shoes and everything on the wall back here are, even that stuff just goes for absurd money. Like the college memorabilia market is so different than the college card market. I think if we could get some more people from that memorabilia market to start getting some cardboard, that would help a lot.
There you go.
But it is a very, very big difference. Obviously, the pro markets are huge, but college memorabilia compared to college cards, massively, massively big. So, yeah, as Rex says, they had Anthony Thomas last year. His Michigan helmets and jerseys outsold his Bear stuff 5-1. And they're closer to Chicago than Ann Arbor. So, no, the college stuff is huge. Wow. I mean, hell, look at Johnny Manziel or Baker Mayfield. They still command quite a bit with their stuff with college. None of the pro stuff, but the college stuff matters. 1 Million Cubs project. Completely agree. Similar to pro wrestling. Huge, but the card market is not at all. Same with memorabilia. But guys, I wanted to touch on one thing while we're talking. Earlier, Rex was mentioning national treasures, and we talked about national treasures, the high end stuff, and about how these quarterbacks from this year probably aren't going to have RPAs. Well, national treasures last year just dropped, and those quarterbacks all did have RPAs in it. And the Brock Purdy 1-of-1 true RPA shield, well, that took like 2 days to get pulled. It was pulled, and it has been confirmed that it sold in a private sale for over, they won't say the exact number, but they will confirm that it sold for over $100,000, making him the 11th active NFL player to have a card sell for $100,000 or more. Wow. Just what? Brock Purdy, really?
Crazy money.
I mean, at least it's not the Mac Jones Prism Finite for $100,000, but still, like, come on.
Yeah, what did you call? You said it was a true RPA. What was it again?
It's his true RPA out of 99. They call it, the one out of 99. None of the parallels. Well, it was his 1-of-1, but his 1-of-1 shield RPA, because they normally have a horizontal and a vertical, and the vertical is considered the true, if you want to call it.
Okay.
And so the vertical shield 1-of-1 sold for over $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Steel City says hot take, he's a lottery ticket right now at $100,000.
Absolutely.
Is he a lottery ticket? I mean, yes, he's a lottery ticket, 1,000%. But I mean, I thought people had learned by now.
They haven't learned.
I just thought people had learned. Like,
wow.
Trading card history keeps repeating itself.
Yeah.
There's only so much for a tax write-off. Like, I mean, a lot of people don't get that a lot of these big sales, when they drop in prices, yeah, they get a nice little tax write-off on some of it. But I mean, you ain't getting it on this that much. What I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm long said I'm going to be QB1 in San Francisco. That's the big thing. Who the hell knows? Who knows?
Yeah, nobody knows.
I just know it's not going to be Trey Lance. But
who sold that card? Where was it sold at? You got the 100,000.
I'll pull it up right now. It was a private sale, I believe, at a card shop. Let me see. I have it right here. Okay. Okay. It was pulled by a group called Card Hub, and Card Hub confirmed that it was a private sale, that it was over $100,000, but they will not give the actual number on it. Yeah. So
okay. All right. It's a private sale. All right.
Looks like it was pulled by someone in the Marines or in the service, or it was bought by someone in the Army or in the service, because they're decked out in Air Force. Okay, Air Force, Army, something like that, was the person that pulled it, and they sold it through Card Hub, who pulled it for him. So it was pulled. You can find it up on Collectibles Guru. He has a nice little write-up on it on his Twitter. He always has some great stuff out on there. But yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, $100,000. Like I said before, I just thought people had learned.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's just slow down. Like, I always have a rule, at least when it comes to rookies, and I don't know how you feel about this, Victor, but you can't judge in the NFL or the NBA. There's no way you can judge a rookie without 3 years of actual play.
I agree.
I agree with that too.
That's why I don't prospect anymore. I used to prospect heavily in the 90s, but I tell you, it's a losing proposition.
Scratch off for sure.
For me, I mean, some people might have a better insight and it can do it, but it takes a few years. They got to get some stats under their belt and that sort of thing.
Well, that's it. It's the high-end prospecting that confuses me. I understand, like, look, in 2017, if you wanted to prospect Mahomes, that was brilliant. He was cheap. He was sitting. He wasn't playing. You had not much to lose. You could buy the stuff for $5. It's the same reason I prospect on people like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He was $5 when I was buying him, and I thought he'd be good in 3 years. 3 years later, he's amazing. Like, I understand prospecting on some of the lower end rookies, but when you're prospecting on these high end guys, I mean, what are you baking into $100,000? Like, where does that? How does this card go up? I mean,
high risk, right?
Yeah, but even if he wins a Super Bowl, how much higher than 100 grand is this card gonna go?
Right.
Because I'll guarantee you Christian McCaffrey and the rest of that team's going to help carry a lot of that load. His stats might look nice, but CMC, if they were to win a Super Bowl, Christian McCaffrey would be putting up MVP type numbers out of the backfield. Otherwise, they have no chance. So what are you baking into 100 grand?
Right. I hear you.
Yep. I mean, was it an impulse buy, or is it somebody who's not in the hobby that's just like a fan of his? I mean, who knows what happened there, but still, I agree. 100 grand to me, it's ridiculous.
I get leery with private sales too. There could be some market manipulation in there, that sort of thing, unless it's been verified by by somebody. But
like Card Ladder or somebody like that.
Right.
I'm actually going up as we're discussing this. I'm actually going to check to see if Card Ladder's verified it yet. If not, I am going to reach out and I'll post it on the Hobby Hotline socials if we find out. But I would like to know if it is verified, because I agree, the private sales, especially when it's the company that pulled it, reporting it, you know what I mean, and not paid for it or anything like that. I'd like to know where it went, things like that, and did it really go for 100 grand? How much higher over 100 grand? It'd be interesting to know.
Yep.
Let's see. All right, guys. So we do have about 10 minutes left in the show.
What?
Once again, if
Victor,
what's that?
I can't believe we only got like 10 minutes left. Where the heck did the last 50 minutes go?
No, I know. If it always flies by. It flies by every single time. But guys, if there's something that you would like to discuss in the on the show or anything, or have any questions, please put them in the comments, as well as click that beautiful link right there. You can come jump on the show in audio or video format, argue with us, yell at us, talk nice, whatever you'd like to do.
But don't get crazy.
Yeah, don't get crazy. Because I can do this. I can just remove you real quick. So don't get too crazy. Kevin, how you doing? Happy belated national to you as well.
Yes.
Some Tim Wong asked, what about the Drew Jones 101 for 100K? Then he gets injured in first week at rookie league ball.
There you go.
Yeah.
But also, again, I have no judgment on him whatsoever yet. I think the bounty that someone put on it is awesome. I think bounties are wonderful for the hobby. If they're done the right way, I think bounties are incredibly good for the hobby. But I mean, you got to give the guy time. He hasn't played yet. Just like the COVID guys is a little different, because they lost a year of their time and everything like that as well. Makes them a little older, not any playing time. It's a little different. But these new guys, Drew Jones, let's let him get healthy and let's see what he can do. I mean, I don't think it changes anything at the moment. And the $1 million part of that bounty was to have a Hall of Fame career. So, that bounty kind of goes along for his entire career. So I don't know. Let's maybe let him get healthy and actually swing the bat a couple times before we judge anything, but I do agree. 100K is a lot, but that is a bounty. Again, not individual wanting to purchase the card.
So let me ask you guys this: $100,000.
Yep.
Couldn't you take that money and really buy some nice vintage cards? I mean, imagine the 33 Gaudy Babe Ruth you could buy, or even a low-end 52 Mickey Mantle rookie or something.
You could buy one of those and a day with Brock Purdy if you wanted to, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, I'm sure you could.
If you offered Brock Purdy 30 grand to hang out for the afternoon, I'm pretty sure he's taking it. And then you got 70 to spend on whatever the hell you want. I mean,
right.
Like, That's what I never understand on this. Like, you can hang out with the dude for $100,000. You get a lot cooler stuff than that National Treasures 101. You can get stuff PSA will slab if you need it authenticated. But,
Yeah.
you know, I agree.
Well, you know, on NASCAR radio, you know, we go over eBay auctions and we'll see like somebody like Haley Deegan, which, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with her out there, you know, a 1 of 1 for $500. And I'm thinking, for $500, I could really buy me a couple of nice Dale Earnhardt Senior autos or something like that. I just don't understand putting that kind of money into people that are unproven. But
no, I agree.
That's my take.
No, I agree. And like I said, I mean, it's just like, where does it go? Like, it's not everything's going to be Mahomes. People get starstruck by these Mahomes sales, these Brady sales, things like that. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. There's some people named Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, a lot of other ones, Aaron Rodgers, a lot of quarterbacks don't sell for crap compared to them that are absolutely amazing. So you're going to have that 1 or 2 players that are going to do it, but putting this type of money into them so young, I just don't understand it. I don't get it in these sports. I just don't.
It's just exciting. I mean, people with money got to have fun in the hobby too. So
I have no problem with it. I'm not buying National Treasures. I've got a box of Immaculate here, and I've got a case of National Treasures, but they're empty and they were never full with cards that were mine. You know, like, I'm not buying it. So I love the sales. I think it's awesome. And if it helps the lower end stuff, you know, sell for a little bit more, I have no problem with that whatsoever. I just, when I see a sale like that, it's mind blowing to me.
Well, you know, it's generated headlines and it's got us talking about it. So there must be something to it.
Yeah. And Frank says, like Gary Vee said, 99% of these cards are going to be worth nothing in 20 years. I completely disagree with that 1000%. There's always going to be value in a hobby where there are collectors. Now, are they going to be worth a ton of money? Are they going to be worth what they are today? You could easily say that 99% of them are not. But to say they're going to have no value is just crazy, because there's always going to be value in a hobby that is based on collectors. Now, if the investor side of everything and the speculative side of everything disappears in 10 years, you're still going to have those collectors.
So, yeah, you're still going to have value. It's just, it may not be the value you want.
Yeah, I completely disagree with Gary Vee, and I actually agree with a lot of stuff he says, but I completely disagree with him when he says something like that. Let's see. Steel City DW, as we wrap up, I blame Vegas Dave. He started it with the Trout First Super. Look, we can blame Vegas Dave for a lot of things. But, I mean, you can blame Vegas Dave for, like I said, a lot of things. But, yeah, the Trout Super was the first that got a lot of attention. However, the hobby was on a very, very steady upswing well before that. He was just the first one to make it mainstream, so to speak, which thankfully Vegas Dave has disappeared into a black hole, which is probably the best for everybody. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's see. Mad City Brew says, my collection could be worth a lot or not, but I'll have the memories of opening packs with my son. Absolutely. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if all the speculative stuff, all these $100,000 sales disappear, and the highest sale we have every year is $10,000 on some PMG Jordan or something, whatever it may be, you're always going to have the collectors there, and the value is always going to be there in some way, shape, or form. It's just what value means to you in the hobby.
Right.
I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Well, you know, as a collector, I get asked a lot, you know, since all these headlines of all these mega sales of cards and things are always happening, I'm always asked, how much is your collection worth? And I'm like, you know, honestly, I mean, I have some vague idea, but I really don't know. And that's not the reason that I collect. I collect because I have fun with it. I like to hang out with my like-minded friends that also do the same thing. It's just fun for me. I mean, I know that may not be a popular thing in this day of investing and all that, but for me, I'm old school and I'm a collector.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't even begin to tell you what my collection is worth. Like, not because it's worth so much, but just because I don't know.
That's not what I keep up with.
I bought them because I liked them.
Exactly.
Speaking on that, guys, before we wrap up the show, we got a couple minutes. We talked about it before the show. We had some NSCC pickups. I know everybody has some cards on the desk, so want to show off some cards to end this week's show.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, sure, it's cool.
Awesome. We're gonna show up, and guys, drop us in the comments what were your favorite pickups of the National if you went, or your best pickup lately. Oh, very nice.
Yeah, this is a cool card, and I'll tell you the reason I bought it. It's a 1966 Dutch Paul Newman. Paul Newman this year was inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America, and I actually have a set on the PSA set registry for those drivers. So I thought I saw this. I thought it was really cool.
You ought to go instead of King NASCAR, do King Set Registry.
Yeah.
King SR.
I got one I bought. First, one of them you can see right here is from Card Killer, the Darth Maul, the Darth Mantle.
That's cool, man.
From Card Killer. We got that one, but one of my favorites, and this is something that I'm actually doing a lot of with grading, is for reselling right now. I'm focusing on team colored color match stuff. And I absolutely love the look of these cards this year. It's a modern card at a 2023 select, but the throwback selects that look like the old school ones. Picked up the green Jason Tatum, which is a super short print, simply because I like the color matches. If you're someone that likes to buy low end stuff, grade and flip, they sell incredibly well, and that's just something that's fun to me. Also snagged a couple of Ellies, and then being a fan of just weird old school stuff, snagged the OJ, and then out of the national pack, Bowman U national packs, got the Tyler Van Dyke gold. So nice Tyler Van Dyke gold there.
What you got, Victor? Anything?
All right, a little bit of 1971 Thurman Munson, a little bit of vintage there, a little bit of a little bit of what I call ultra vintage, 1980 Greg Maddux.
Ultra vintage. Here's ultra vintage.
And a little bit of 85 Topps Tiffany, Roger Clemens rookie, and a pretty cool Mickey Mantle gold refractor.
Yep.
And another
That's cool.
Another Mickey Mantle gold refractor.
Nice. Were those from Platinum Anniversary?
These were from the 2008 Topps Mantle reprint.
Oh yeah,
did.
That was a good set. I like it.
Yeah. So for those of you who follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm always talking about my PSA sophomoric slabs showcase where I have all these funny name cards and funny pictures on cards. Yeah. I picked up this card. It's not graded. Dick Felt.
Nice.
Really funny you mentioned that, Logan, because in my hand I've got an 1888 Allen and Ginter World Smokers pole smoker.
Oh gosh, I've got to get that one now.
Speaking of which, what about 1993?
Oh yeah, I love that card.
There we go. Hey, speaking of, I actually just put up, which Victor, I need you to send me a picture of that's going on Iconic Images. I just started on my Instagram, just hilarious photos from cards in history, a little set. I need an image of that one. I like that one. That's going on the Iconic Cards list.
1993 Stadium Club, number
93 Stadium Club. Okay, writing that one down. All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up this week's episode of the show. We'll end it on Dick Felt and pole smokers from 1888. All right. I guess that's how this show's going to go today. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, you can find us every single Saturday. Well, a different cast of characters every single Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and then the first Tuesday of every single month, which, that'll be coming up in a couple of weeks at 9 p.m. Eastern also. But, of course, every single Saturday here on Bench Clear Media. And, of course, follow all of the awesome people that are a part of Hobby Hotline on all of our socials, and make sure to check out the videos and all the other cool stuff we have up, as well as check out everything over on Hobby News Daily. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and Logan, Victor, always a pleasure, guys.
Yep.
All right, y'all have a wonderful Saturday. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Have a good one.